Hi guys, and welcome to solving nonlinear equations for y. Remember that a linear equation is an equation that would, if we put it on a graph, if we graphed it, would make a line. So linear equations have just one x and just one y in them with no other exponents. When we have a nonlinear equation, there are lots and lots of different kinds of nonlinear equations. The kind we're going to look at right now is the kind where you have two y's in your equation. So let's go ahead and look at this equation. So we have 2y plus xy equals 6. All right, remember, always go back to this idea that solving an equation means getting a variable on one side by itself. So we need to get y by itself on one side. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to circle our y's. Now we have two y's this time. Now that is a problem because you can't get something by itself if there are two of them, right? There can only be one y. And whenever we have a situation like this, we always want to factor out that y from the rest of what is on that side. All right, and factor, remember, is just doing the absolute reverse of the distributive property. In the distributive property, you just multiply whatever is outside parentheses to everything inside. And when you're factoring something out, you do the opposite. So we're going to take this y, it's going to go outside of parentheses, so we get y parentheses, and then instead of multiplying like we would if this were the distributive property, we're going to divide. So if we did 2y divided by y, those y's would cancel and we would just get 2. If we did xy divided by y, again, the y's would cancel out and we would just get x. Now, at this step, if you're not quite sure about what you've done, a really great thing is to actually go off to the side here for a second and try to redistribute this, okay? So pull this off to the side. You're just kind of doing some scratch work over here. So you've got y times 2 plus x, and you want to make sure that you did this right. So go ahead and distribute that. So y times 2 is going to give you 2y. And then y times x is going to give you that plus xy. And you can see that that's exactly what you started off with, 2y plus xy. And so you know that you pulled this out correctly because when you distributed it back in, you got the same answer. You got what you wanted to have. All right, so now let's go ahead and look here. And again, we just need to get y by itself. So we have to figure out what is on the same side as y. So in this example, what's on the same side is this whole thing right here. The whole thing inside parentheses. Remember, when you have something outside of parentheses, that means multiplication. All right, so we're just going to treat this whole thing inside parentheses exactly like it is just one thing just kind of smushed together. And the way you get rid of multiplication is you divide. So we're going to divide both sides by 2 plus x. All right, we got to divide both sides of our equation by 2 plus x. Now, over here, our 2 plus x's are going to cancel. Those whole things are going to cancel. And then what we're going to have left on this side, the only thing that we have left is this y. All right, so it's going to come down here. We have the y left. And now over here, all we can do is just write it out. We can't actually cancel anything here. We can't cancel that 6 with the 2 because that would just be ignoring this x right here. And we can't just ignore the x. All right? You can't actually divide 6 by 2 plus x. And so all you do to get your final answer is you just write down y equals 6 over 2 plus x. All right, and the way you figure out whether or not this is correct is you go ahead and look at your answer and you say, do I have y by itself? Why, yes, y is by itself. So this is my final answer. There's nothing else that you need to do.